New evidence in the courtroom left Lil Durk pretty speechless, with recent reports bringing some surprising updates to the Lil Durk vs. Lul Pab case. It turns out this new info points to him as one of the main figures, which could mean he stays behind bars until the trial. And here's where it gets interesting. A well-known rap attorney recently hinted that Durk might actually have a chance at getting out. Bradford Cohen, the lawyer who's worked with Kodak Black, said that Lil Durk could potentially beat the case unless, of course, members of OTF decide to testify against him. I wouldn't say they have a slam dunk case on Durk, Banks Cohen mentioned. They've still got a lot to prove if they're claiming conspiracy, so it's anyone's guess what's coming next in this high-stakes legal fight.
Comes to Durk Banks, so far I've seen one text that says don't have them associate my.
Alright, so here's the latest with the Lil Durk case. Things are getting wild. Some new evidence just came out in the courtroom, and it has left Durk pretty much speechless. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that could completely flip the whole case upside down. And reports are saying that the evidence shows Lil Durk might have been one of the main people involved in this whole situation. If that's true, it could mean Durk stays in jail until his trial, no bond, no bail, nothing. But here's where it gets really interesting. Bradford Cohen, who's Kodak Black's lawyer, had some pretty bold things to say about it. He mentioned that Durk might still have a shot at beating the case as long as no one from his team decides to turn on him. He said, "It's way too early to call this a slam dunk case against Durk. The feds still have a lot to prove now." That's the kind of statement that's got people talking, because it means there's a chance if everyone keeps quiet. So what does this mean for Durk? Well, it all comes down to what the feds can dig up next. Bradford Cohen broke it down by saying that the feds will likely start offering deals to people who are less involved in the whole situation, hoping that someone flips and gives up Durk. The strategy is always to go for the low-hanging fruit, the person who's less guilty but still knows something. They'll try to make a deal with that person, get them to cooperate, and if that doesn't work, they'll just move on to the next person. But this is where things get a little crazier. The charges against Durk aren't just about money, they're talking about career advancement too. That means it's not just about the cash. There might have been bigger ambitions at play. Cohen mentioned that Durk's legal team is already preparing to challenge this new evidence, and they're hoping they can get something to fight back with. Durk's first court hearing for the M for hire case already happened, and while he's still locked up for now, his lawyers are doing everything they can to get him out. But with the severity of these charges, it doesn't look like Durk's getting a bond anytime soon. House arrest might be an option, but that's still up in the air. Now, here's where the situation gets a bit more messy. There's been a lot of talk around Durk's involvement in the Lul Pab incident, and rapper Brick Baby just threw some fuel on that fire. In a recent interview, Brick Baby said something pretty shocking. He basically implied that people can't deny Durk's loyalty to King Von anymore because Durk might have actually been involved in the whole thing with Lul Pab. This isn't the first time Brick Baby's dropped a bombshell about Durk. In a past interview, he hinted that Durk might have been the one behind the whole hit. That was a pretty big statement to make, and now it's all starting to connect. But here's the real twist. Brick Baby realized that what he said back then might have actually made things worse for Durk. He even reacted to his old interview, and it looked like he was starting to second guess what he'd said. The indictment says that 5 people tied to Durk's OTF crew are allegedly involved in the Lul Pab incident. They're accused of being hired to target Quando Rondo during that tragic Lay incident where Lil P was killed. The feds are claiming that flights and rental cars linked to OTF were used in connection with this. That's some heavy stuff. And get this, during a more recent interview, Brick Baby's friends actually went silent when he started talking about all this. It was like the room froze, and you could tell they realized he might have said too much. Brick Baby, trying to backpedal, later claimed he would have given up Quando Rondo's location if Durk had asked him to because he's loyal. But honestly, it's starting to look like there's a lot more going on than what we're hearing. At the end of the day, we're left wondering, will Durk's crew stay silent, or will someone turn on him and change everything? And this case is far from over, and it's only getting more complicated with every twist and turn. The pressure's on, and the next few weeks could be crucial in deciding where this goes. One thing's for sure, though, people are going to be watching this case closely. What happens next could have a huge impact, not just on Durk, but on the entire rap game.
Then it's people like, you lined up somebody from your hood. Like, listen, I didn't. But at the end of the day,
so because Lil Durk is such a big name in the rap game, you gotta think that the state's prosecutor is probably even more motivated to get a conviction against him. I mean, we've seen it happen time and time again. When the feds want you, they'll go to great lengths to keep you locked up. Remember what Boozy said about YNW Melly? It kind of applies to Durk too. He said when they want you, they want you. Boozy even pointed out how the feds waited to pass that law before they came for him. He was like, he was in jail for what, 2-3 years. They could have brought him to trial way earlier, but when they want you, they want you. It's crazy to think Durk didn't get a bond considering the gravity of the charges. Then, right when we thought it couldn't get any crazier, Durk finally speaks up after being taken in for that M for hire charge. He's featured in Hypno Caro's new track, and that got people talking. But then, just after that, the real bombshell dropped. A report came out saying that OTF member Jam was found hiding at a house outside Atlanta. Sources are saying that he got dealt with by OTF members because they think he snitched on Durk. To make matters worse, they even shared a picture of the house where Jam was hiding. You know, OTF has to be beyond upset if they think Jam is the one who turned on Durk. And as if that wasn't enough, this old Instagram live video popped up. It shows Durk and Jam together, but now it looks like Jam was wearing a wire the whole time. He kept adjusting his jacket, whispering into it, and checking to make sure it was working. It was such a blindsided moment for Durk and the OTF crew. Jam was someone they all trusted. The dude had already served a long sentence and came out clean, never snitching on anyone. Durk was so happy for him when he got released that he even gave him $50,000 in cash. To think that Jam could have flipped on him like this, it's honestly shocking.
What's his name, bro? Steady crying, huh? He's steady crying. Feed him. Feed him. Get the milk, bro. Get the milk for Big Mama.
So here's the thing. Jam didn't just appreciate what Durk did for him, he really went into detail about how much Durk had his back. And it wasn't just the $50 K, Durk took it even further. He paid for security to look out for Jam when he was locked up, and when Jam got out, Durk didn't even hesitate. He bought him a car and a house. That's next level loyalty, right? Jam was talking about it in an interview saying, yeah, I've been home just a little over a year now. After doing 12 years flat, I did my time, kept my mouth shut. He talked about how he first got connected with OTF, saying, I knew them before I even knew them and that they were solid. Durk even told him straight up, I'm giving you $50K, no questions asked. That's real love right there. But here's the kicker, why would Jam turn on Durk after all that? Well, it turns out Jam got arrested again, this time for possession of a firearm. And because he's a convicted felon, he was looking at a long sentence, probably another 10 years. So he had a decision to make, cooperate with the feds and help take down OTF or risk spending more time in prison. After already doing 12 years, could you blame him for taking the deal? But it didn't sit well with Lil Baby, who tweeted, this can't be true, free Durk. These streets are evil. Your own brother will turn his back on you, damn, that hit hard. Then you got Charleston White, of all people, calling Jam's arrest a win for the community, saying it's the end of drill rap. He was like, down goes drill, 12-round knockout. It's like he was saying the whole scene was about to fall apart. But here's where it gets even messier. Durk found out about Jam flipping. He hopped on an interview and said, I see expletive from a mile away. I don't think people realize that I can talk to someone for just a few seconds and already know if they're going to cooperate. Durk saw this coming before anyone else. Once he realized what was happening, he kept his distance and didn't share any more details with anyone. He wouldn't even tell anyone where he was staying. You can tell this hit hard for Durk. It's like when the people closest to you turn on you, you've got to start protecting yourself.
Nobody is ever allowed to my house. It be our best friend never been in my house.
For real?
All right, so here's something wild. DJ Academics just dropped some serious tea about how the feds have been keeping an eye on Lil Durk for the last year. And get this, it came from a journalist based in Atlanta. He reached out and was like, yo, this is gonna go down soon. And I was just sitting there thinking, what do you mean? He goes on to say that the feds had been looking into Durk for a while. Now, this was way before the whole O Block 6 situation popped off. I remember thinking after those O Block guys got convicted that Durk was in the clear, right? Like, okay, maybe he's finally safe. But nah, turns out that reporter had some legit sources saying the investigation was still on. Now, you'd think Academics could have given Durk a little heads up, right? But he didn't. So once the feds got what they needed, they swooped in fast. Within 24 hours, they arrested 5 people, including Durk. But here's where it gets crazy. Some leaked info came out about how the feds had been wiretapping Durk's communications. Apparently, they even got access to his iCloud, and there was a message where Durk told one of his people involved in the hit to, don't book no flights under any names connected to me, but guess what? That person went ahead and booked flights anyway, using a credit card linked directly to Durk. You just can't make this up. And if that wasn't bad enough, the feds started digging deeper and made connections. They found this old video of King Von shopping for jewelry. Now, Von, who was tragically killed in 2020, was seen in the video with 3 of the suspects who were later tied to the murder of Lul Pab. So now the feds are like, okay, this is all starting to add up. Durk's tied to these guys, and they're probably out for revenge for Von's death. It's like everything was leading up to this moment. But here's where it gets even deeper. OTF and especially Durk were all about getting payback for King Von. But it wasn't just about the loss. It was that Quando Rondo kept dissing Von after the whole situation went down. Rondo even rapped about it, saying something like, man ran up on me, then we sprayed him. I'm talking lights out. So Durk didn't react immediately. He went radio silent, and the feds believe that's when he started making moves, setting up the hit that went down a couple of months later. Durk even dropped a lyric that seemed like a direct warning. They like, Durk, he a singer, he won't do something, you can believe whatever you want, but I got your folks hit. Not long after, Quando's crew gets hit at a gas station, and it all starts to connect.
The search is on for 3 people who police say at a Savannah rapper. a member of his entourage. It happened in Los
So Quando was heated when OTF got their revenge, and of course he dropped another song dissing King Von. In it, he says, "My favorite op gone, his sister talks too much, no, I don't like her. Lil Timmy rolled her brother up, got stepped on in some Nike kicks." Pretty wild, right? But then Durk came back with one of the most savage responses. He kind of made fun of Quando's emotional live video where he was crying over Lil Pab's situation. Durk rapped, "Look on the news and see your son screaming, no, no, this man, a passenger in that car, frantic at the sight." Now, let's talk about what's going on with Durk. We've got an update on how he's doing inside. Apparently, he's super charming and the staff and other inmates like him. But the food, not so much. It's been a crazy ride for Durk since he got locked up, and everyone's been watching closely. Even YSL Woody, a guy known for keeping things quiet, decided to speak out. He said, "I'm not saying Durk's guilty. I don't know the whole situation, but life's been good to him. He came from nothing and worked hard to get where he is. To take care of his family, the best revenge for King Von isn't about getting back at anyone, it's about stepping up and taking care of his kids. We do dumb stuff all the time. But hurting each other won't fix anything. What's done is done. Take care of his kids so they don't have to live in their father's footsteps." Woody's words hit hard when he said, "It hurts seeing Durk, who worked so hard to make it, now in this situation. Why all rap like you know better but still end up doing foolish things? But at the end of the day, we're our own worst enemy." That line really makes you stop and think, right? It's a harsh truth that many people in the game, whether they're in the streets or in the rap world, have to face. The grind, the hustle is not easy, and to finally make it to a place where you're enjoying success and providing for your family, only to see it all slip away because of your own actions or the situations you let yourself get caught up in, is devastating. Durk is a perfect example of this cycle. Over the years, we've seen him rise from his roots, from the tough streets of Chicago to being one of the biggest names in rap. His story is inspiring to so many who look up to him, seeing how he managed to escape the dangers of the streets and build something solid for himself. But as Woody said, we often act like we know better, like we've learned from our mistakes, only to end up making the same foolish choices. In Durk's case, his involvement with the wrong people, the disses, and the street beefs, things that should have been left in the past, keep coming back to haunt him. The truth is, no matter how far you get in life, if you don't distance yourself from those old habits and mindsets, they'll keep pulling you back. The fact that Woody calls us our own worst enemy is a sobering reminder of the internal battles we face every day. How often do we sabotage ourselves without even realizing it? In Durk's case, the whole situation with King Von's death, the revenge, the beefs, it's all part of a bigger picture. This is the reality that so many artists live with, especially when they come from tough backgrounds. Once you're in the spotlight, the stakes are higher and it feels like you can't escape the past no matter how much you want to move forward. Now, the real question, will Durk come out of this stronger, or is he just stuck in this cycle of chaos? It's hard to say. Part of me wants to believe he'll find a way to rise above it all. He's been through a lot, and he's shown time and again that he has the resilience to bounce back. But at the same time, it's easy to see how these situations can trap you. Once you've tasted fame, it's hard to shake off the pressure and the expectations, especially when there are still unresolved issues from your past. It's the people around you, the pressures of the streets, the loyalty to those who've been there with you. It's not easy to just walk away from all of that. If Durk does get through this, it could be a major turning point in his career and life. Maybe he'll finally step away from the chaos and focus on his family, his business, and his music, showing the world that he's learned from all the mistakes. But if he doesn't, if the pressures in the past continue to haunt him, we might see him trapped in the same cycle, and that could be the sad reality for a lot of people in his position. Either way, it's clear that the path forward isn't easy, and it's not just about overcoming external forces, it's about overcoming the self-destructive tendencies we all face. So, what do you think? Do you believe Durk can turn things around, or do you think he's caught in a cycle that's too hard to break? It's a tough question, but one that we'll all be watching closely. The way these situations play out says a lot about not just the artist, but about the struggles we all face in life. It's a reminder to be mindful of the choices we make, because in the end, we really are our own worst enemy.